Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live. In the bulletin this afternoon, government says it plans for victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage is in operation as relief efforts gather. Also coming up in the program in business news, we'll bring you some news concerning the World Bank country director for Ghana, who says he's confident the $40 million in flood relief will reach farmers in need despite transparency concerns from peasant farmers. Plus, some international news this afternoon as a runoff election will be held next month in Liberia between President George Weah and his main rival Joseph Boakai. Let's settle for the details of the stories this afternoon. As spillage of the Akosombo Dam and its ripple effects persist, concerns have been raised about government's plan for displaced persons in affected communities during and after the spillage. Deputy Minister for Information Fatimatu Abubakar in a press briefing explains government's plans are in three phases.
We announced that government's action in this difficult time are in three parts. First of all, safety, and the safety has to do with evacuating affected persons from communities to safe havens, and that was done by NADMO, the 48th Engineers Regiment, the Riverine Command of the Ghana Navy, and the Naval Training Command with their vessels and other equipment to make sure we don't lose people. After that is being done, we move to the second phase. The people who are in temporary shelter or at the various campuses, making sure there is no overcrowding, they don't have any medical emergencies that are not attended to, and they have food. And that is the relief component or second phase of the work, where food items, non-food items, medicines, water, toilet facilities are all provided to them.
Well, let's speak with Sergi Saji, who is the Deputy Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, for some more updates on government relief efforts so far. Mr. Sergi, thank you so much for joining us on the program. You are in Bato, one of the areas affected. How is the situation looking at like as we speak? Do we see the water levels receding?
Yes, thank you and good afternoon to you and your viewers. Yes, the water started receding about 2 days ago, but there's been a significant drop in the level of the water, especially those in the communities, which is good news for us. What it's telling us is that we are beginning to see the start of the end process. It might take some time, but the rate at which it's receding, if it continues this way, I'm very confident that in about a week or so, we will not have that level of water in the communities again. But as I always say, that even if this water completely recedes, some work has to be done before the people can move back into those buildings, because the level of contamination of that water is quite high.
So if you're saying some work will have to be done even if the water recedes, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, maybe the technical people will let us know what to be done, and the environmental people as well, because there will need to be some thorough cleaning and thorough fumigation and all that before the people can move back into their homes. Another challenge is those who have lost everything completely. Those ones will also be a big challenge in moving back to their settlements and their homes.
So the three phases of government intervention so far and the plan for the victims, we know that NADMO is at the forefront of this. How is it going so far?
Well, it's going on so well. I mean, from the beginning, we partnered with VRE, and we have responded to the best of our ability to the situation. And for relief administration, it has been continuing. and it will still continue for quite some time. Now we will be talking principally about the issues of recovery and rebuilding back. The president has already put out information about the livelihoods of the people. The government is seriously considering working on the livelihood of the people. The Ministry of Agriculture, as you all know, has put out a fund for the farmers. I'm told that the Ministry of Fisheries is also working out something, and very soon that will also be announced for those whose livelihood depends on fishing from the river.
So briefly, let's get this straight from you again. So you're telling us that at the rate of the water levels receding or drying up, in about a week, if it continues like that, it means the situation will be way better than it is now?
Yes, the situation will be far, far, far considerably better than what we are battling with now. The challenge is that, a lot of access roads have also been flooded. So movement to and fro in those communities is also very difficult. So if the water recedes completely, movement will become much easier. And attending to some of the people in the civils and the communities will also become much easier because, as I said, relief administration will continue for quite some time.
There's still concerns, Sergi, of the relief efforts not reaching all the affected communities. Some complaints already that it has been concentrated at a part of the affected communities and not reaching all the others. For instance, we understand is having enough, but there are some communities on the outskirts or surrounding Mepe who are still reaching to us that they are not getting anything. Does this seem to be a problem with the coordination or how far these relief efforts get to?
Yes, thank you. I've already said that we have two categories of affected persons. Those living with friends and family and relatives. As we identify them, we support them. Now, some of these people are still across the overbank of the river and still on some islands because some of them, it's only parts of it that have been inundated. We have been moving in boats with the 48 engineers and the Navy to reach them with food items. But because the situation was unfolding, we keep recording victims almost every day. So it stands to reason that victims that are immediately identified might not have had food relief support. But as soon as that gets to our attention, we'll move in quickly with assemblymen and our NADMO zonal staffs to attend to them.
Sergi Saji, thank you so much for joining us on the program. The Deputy Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization speaking with us. They're still on issues of flood support to the victims, and businessman Ibrahim Mahama has personally intended support with items in relief of the communities. He pledged further assistance to brilliant but needy students impacted by the flood, showcasing a commitment to rebuilding lives beyond the immediate crisis.
A convoy of trucks loaded with essential relief items rolled into the Volta region, spearheaded by businessman Ibrahim Mahama and his team. The donation comprises of 20,000 bags of 5 kg rice, 24,000 cans of mackerel, 12,000 bottles of cooking oil, 400 packs of water, and 1,000 student mattresses.
When this disaster hit, I just said, look, I need to pay back from where I started the company from. So if you've seen me here, especially even where my mother comes from here as well, I'm here to support you as my motherland. Thanks for receiving our donation, and we'll be back again.
North Tong MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa expressed heartfelt gratitude to Ibrahim Mahama and his team for their support to the affected communities.
We have been faced with a colossal tragedy, a tragedy of biblical proportion, an absolute devastation. We are distressed, we are depressed, we are traumatized. But today we can smile because of Mr. Ibrahim Mahama and his wife.
He assured of equitable distribution of the donated items across all affected communities, emphasizing a commitment to ensuring that relief reaches everyone in need. And with us reminding you that the 3
TV3, 3FM Media Foundation, the 3 Media Foundation. The 3 Foundation is also actively involved in soliciting the support of the general public to offer some help to the victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage. Away from that, to some politically related matters, the New Patriotic Party, they're set to elect their flag bearer for the 2024 presidential election, making a delegate an enviable position. Now, the recent monetization of Ghana's politics has made the internal party election period the cocoa season for many delegates. Ibrahim Abubakar spoke to some of the decision makers to find out factors that will influence their vote for a particular candidate.
It used not to be valued among political party members, but in recent time, majority of card-bearing members aspire to be delegates. This is to enable them be part of the decision-making process on who becomes a leader of the party. Kwabena Nyame has been a delegate for almost 4 years. Though he said he decided to be a delegate for the love of the party, he admits benefiting a lot from it.
At least, my last born, or Maria Montessori.
We receive a lot of benefits. Personally, my livelihood has improved because of the opportunities I get for being a delegate. At least, I can now send my kids to the best of schools. I even own more than 1 car. For 66-year-old Amasewa, being a delegate for over 20 years has not brought any significant impact in her life. She appears to have given up on competence of aspirant and is now ready to sell her vote to the highest bidder.
Life is hard. I am unable to even eat fufu twice a day because of financial constraint. So for me, whoever picks the highest has my vote because we don't see them after votes. No one is ready to sacrifice for the country.
Mamiya's name has in recent times been expunged from the Subin delegate list. She indicated that the unjust act meted out to her and some other delegates has deprived them of their share of the political cake.
Because
As delegates, we are getting a lot of goodies, especially during election period like this. This would have been our cocoa season, but the incumbent MP for Subin has replaced our names with his chronics as delegates. This matter is still before the courts.
On November 4, over 200,000 delegates are expected to elect MPP's flag bearer for 2024. The 4 aspirants, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kennedy Ejapon, Francis Adainimo, and Dr. Okoto Efriye, are all wrapping up their campaigns at different locations. Most delegates have made up their minds on who to vote for, whilst others are still yet to decide. For some, choosing a candidate who has a chance to retain the party in government is their priority. I am voting for Bawumia because he keeps giving us hope that things would be better. In fact, he is the one to retain power for the MPP.
We are looking at someone who has sacrificed and served the party for a long time.
The decision will be made on November 4. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Well, with just a few days to the all-important NPP primaries, let's speak with Professor Kobi Mensah, who is a political marketing strategist and a lecturer at the University of Ghana. Prof, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Just a few days more to the elections. My question is, has the mind of delegates been made up already, or there's still room for some other candidates to make some inroads, trying to convince them?
I think from your report, I think it clearly shows that a significant number of the delegates have their minds made up. Obviously, when it comes to internal party politics, these are not people who would say extensively have certain floating personalities. I mean, quite a number of delegates actually make up their mind before the elections. Of course, some would make up their mind, but there will be a dilemma as to who should vote for. And so campaign messages might work in terms of persuading them. But what is very disturbing is the kind of words that we heard from your tape. It looks like our politicians have succeeded in corrupting the entire system, where people are actually looking at goodies, physical distribution of monies, etc., as the basis for choosing a candidate. It's very, very appalling. And I think that if our politicians want to see the evidence of why this country is not going anywhere, or anyone wants to know why this country is not going anywhere, is this kind of mindset. Very, very diabolical, very unacceptable. Those days, people would be shy to actually tell you that materials would influence their judgment. It's no longer a secret to the extent that people can even use mass media to talk about why and how they intend to vote because of the influence of money and material stuff. We have to be ashamed, actually, especially coming from a party, NPP, that they describe themselves as true Democrats, due process party. You have their delegates actually spewing that kind of mindset on TV. I think that is very, very worrying, and we have to actually take steps to address some of these things.
Prof, from what you said as a political marketing strategist, is there room for the politicians or the aspirants to further convince them, and what strategies should they adopt going to these delegates in the last-minute engagement with them before the November 4 date?
I think that people must still hold on to the true values of democracy, i.e. telling people the reason why a leadership is selected. Now, the reason why party, flag bearer has to be selected is not just because you're selected as the leader of the MPP, but to win power, to wrestle power from the national elections. And so there's a room for that conversation, that message to be passed on to the delegates that indeed the selection of the flag bearer is for the bigger competition and to tout their credibilities, their credentials as fitting to actually win that particular competition come to 2024. And so, yes, I feel that there will still be some decent delegates out there who would not be influenced by how much you give, but that you have the credentials to win the elections. So despite the idea that people are looking forward to goodies, I'm sure quite a number of delegates have the decency and have the democratic values at heart to vote accordingly. So I think that candidates must put forward their credentials, why they have to be selected. And I'm sure that quite a number of people would actually listen in that direction and vote accordingly.
Professor Mensah, thank you so much for your time. The program, Professor Kobi Mensah is a political marketing strategist speaking with us there. Away from that, government last week granted a 15-year mining lease to Barari DV for the mining of lithium in the central region. The global value is appreciating year on year due to the crucial role it plays in the manufacturing of batteries and equipment required in the energy transition drive. The minority, they've already flagged the deal because it does not, they say it has not been ratified by Parliament. Joining us now on the phone lines is minerals analyst and energy economist, Dr. Gideon Ofosu-Persah. Dr. Persah, thank you for joining us to the program. Good afternoon to you. How significant is this deal for the mineral sector of the country, bearing in mind the other minerals that the country has discovered that have not worked so well for Ghana so far?
Okay, thank you very much, and then good afternoon to everyone who is listening or watching us. Lithium is a big thing because of the global energy transition. And then we hear globally estimates suggest that it is a super industry. And then because of the several uses that lithium has for rechargeable batteries in mobile phone, laptops, and then most especially in driving the energy transition. So when you look at the geopolitics of energy minerals, for instance, we see that countries are even looking at controlling the energy future. So you are looking at China that is aggressively exploring for green minerals and then other rare earth elements, and then the US is also doing the same. Now, Ghana also recently adopted its energy transition and investments plan, and then in the battery technology is key, and then it is one of the 6 key decarbonization strategies. And then it states that electric passenger vehicles and then 2 to 3 wheelers and then light trucks are supposed to be replaced with electric batteries in the next 37 years. But the shift is going to begin from 2035. So that is the future, and then it also fits into the plan that we have as a country, and then it depends on how we maximize this opportunity. If we are able to learn, I understand that we have learned our lessons well for over 100 years of mining gold, and that is the reason why we are here.
Dr. Fosu, many have criticized the 13% carried interest Ghana has in the deal. Does the country deserve more in this regard?
So I would want to answer because I haven't seen the contract yet. I also haven't seen the new national mining policy on green minerals yet. We have spoken to key contacts even within the civil society space, and then they are saying that they were not involved. They have not seen the contract yet. So which is something that we think it is not the best. So my answer or my analysis is based on the figures that has been thrown out there. Now, when you look at existing deals, especially in the gold sector, the Minerals and Mining Act sets the current the royalty rate at 3 to 5%. And then the state has 10% vested interest in mining entities, and then has virtually no participation interest. So the state goes on to enjoy the 35% corporate income tax, and then the pay as you earn that are paid. But with what the figures that have been thrown out by the minister, instead of the 3 to 5% royalty, this new deal has 10% royalty, which at the face of it looks good. Instead of the 10% vested interest or carried interest by the state has 13%, which is 3% more. And then the state is also gone ahead to is planning to acquire 6% participating interest in mining operations using the Minerals Income Investments Fund, that is a sovereign wealth fund of the country, and then also an additional 3.06% in the parent company. We also hear that some 1% of this revenue is also going to be paid into a community development fund. So when you look at the figures at the face of it, you realize that comparatively it is better. But conclusions cannot be drawn based on that. But at the face of it, it looks good because you would have to look at what the country, what comparative analysis was done in comparing Ghana amongst its peers, and then at how do we arrive at this percentages. So there are other questions that needs to be asked, but if you look at the figures as it is now, it is better than existing contracts in the gold sector.
Doc, briefly before you take leave of us, if we're looking at some potential side effects, we know what we're battling with as a result of gold mining. Now we have illegal mining known as galamsey. What are the potential knock-on effects of this deal for the Ghanaian economy as one, and maybe other sectors of the Ghanaian economy, to maybe the environment, for instance?
Yeah, it is very, very important that you've made mention of the galamsey. Lithium is also like gold. You realize that in other parts of Africa, now artisanal and small-scale miners are also mining lithium. And then the challenges that we are facing in the gold sector, I'm afraid if care is not taken, and then if the community are not well engaged and then do not see the needed local social economic development, we might see some of these issues related to illegal or unlicensed mining and then all that. Just that because lithium is also, how do you call it, becoming a global kind of commodity. It is not at the stage of gold yet, whereby when you just cross the border, you can sell and then get money, or you can sell to anyone. But gradually, lithium is also gaining that value and then recognition. So the role of artisanal and then small-scale miners might rear its head in the future if some of these things are not managed well. But the positives, when you look at the Barari DV, it has an active mining lease for 30 years. This implies that there is a likelihood that it will want to prospect more in other parts of Ghana, and then it would want to scale up, which is a likely possibility. And then if that happens, looks positive. Right. And then the 1% the development fund that is going to be paid, it is going to promote some local social economic development. The fiscal linkages is going to shore up domestic revenue.
Dr. Ofosu, thank you.
Etc., etc.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Dr. Gideon Ofosu, person speaking with us there. Away from that, and the majority in Parliament has declared the National Investment Bank, the NIB, as not up for sale. According to the NPP MPs, the bank will continue to exist as a separate entity, contrary to a claim it's been handed over to the ADB. The minority, through the ranking member for the Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, earlier cautioned government against any move to collapse NIB. But addressing the media, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodonpre rejected the assertions of the minority.
Some 500 million was given to non-financial institutions. And as we speak, a lot of the money has not been recovered. So the least our colleagues can do is to at least be careful when you're commenting about a bank that is mandated by law to help soar up and develop our industry. I'm challenging the minority that if they have a better proof in terms of the management of the bank and what the board has done, if they've done anything wrong, they should come out and put it across. They should stop making these sweeping arguments and making sweeping allegations which does not end up to help anybody. One of the things that all of us need to help is that the bank needs recapitalization. Because if you look at their own correspondence, when the finance minister led the charge, and then sovereign guarantee was issued or was garnered through Parliament, and then the opportunity was given to GATS, the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, to lead the way to raise the necessary oxygen and the recapitalization effort. What happened was that the finance minister, the current finance minister, led the effort. Apart from the sovereign guarantee being given to GATS, the current finance minister led the effort to raise 800 million Ghana cedis, which was given to NIB.
You're watching Midday Live on TV3. My name is Noble Crosby, and we're going for a break. We're back with more stories. Please stay with us.
Gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Favorite Abner Rice is saying thank you to all its loyal customers and consumers for being loyal to the brand. From the 1st of September 2023 to 31st of January 2024, buy any 4.5 kg bag of Abner Rice and you stand the chance of finding a gift voucher inside the bag. Prices you stand to find include LED TVs, washing machines, microwaves, blenders, smartphones, bags of rice, burners, and many more. Redeem your gift vouchers from any Lele depot or selected wholesalers nationwide. So, what are you waiting for? Go on and grab your 4.5 kg bag of Abner rice and win big. Remember, the Abner Achedia promo is on from the 1st of September 2023 and ends on 31st of January 2024. It's the Abner Achedia promo. Buy more, win more. Terms and conditions apply. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Dede, and as you already know, when it comes to quality phones and accessories but yet affordable, it's Franco Trading Enterprise. We are #1. We have television set from 24 inches to 65 inches, Franco air condition from 1.5 horsepower to 2.5 horsepower. We have mobile phones, iPhones, Nokia, Samsung, Huawei, Infinix, Alcatel, and accessories like phone protectors, phone covers, pen drive, hard drives. We have skilled personnel who will serve you as you wish. So look no further than Franco Trading Enterprise. Franco Trading Enterprise, the home of quality air condition, television, mobile phones, and accessories.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na mkwan point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo medu a me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nu a ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Of Acrobato. Hello. Hey, ohwehwe what chair. Okay. A free bra wo di end point what dance. I me call you no. Me Johnson say my name Koye and person my name nyina and imagine Sabema. Na me be here for there. The one nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
On the 25th of November 2023, the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries West Africa Mega Region 1 Ghana will hold the 2023 Interdenominational Ministers Deliverance and Open Heaven Conference by 7 a.m. Dr. D.K. Olukoya, the General Overseer of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries, will be presiding over this meeting live at the Accra International Conference Center, Accra, Ghana. The Interdenominational Ministers Deliverance and Open Heaven Conference, Accra, Ghana 2023. For registration and how to be a part of this meeting, please visit www.mfghanamegaregion.org/register or use the details on the screen. Don't miss this first of its kind International Ministers Conference in Accra, Ghana. Jesus is well with you. Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries. Surely the Lord is here.
You're welcome back to the broadcast. Let's bring you some more stories this afternoon. Retired Justice of the Supreme Court, William Atuguba, has advocated for changes in the appointment process of judges in the country. He was speaking at a forum organized by Solidarity Ghana.
The appointment process is transparent and genuine, such that good and competent legal materials get onto the bench. They have a reputation to protect, so they won't do certain things. But I appeal to the lawyers that they should have mercy for the country also. After making a lot of money over the years, now it should be time to come to the bench and serve the people. But not just money upon money upon money upon.
Well, let's have a conversation on the back of this or some other matters arising. Dr. Kwikwanan Jinde is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Law School at GIMPA. Dr. Jinde, thank you for joining us on the program. You have listened to the retired Supreme Court Justice Atuguba. Do you support his calls for changes in the appointment process of judges in the country?
thanks for having me. And very good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners across, particularly my people at Kintampo. Well, I think the appointment of judges is clearly spelled out in Article 144 of the Constitution. So I think this appointment process is so much detailed, is so comprehensive, and I don't see where he wants those changes to be made. Because if you take the Chief Justice, for instance, he's appointed by the President, acting in consultation with the Council of State, with the approval of Parliament. So it's not just a one-man affair. You have to consult the Council of State when it comes to the Chief Justice. And then after that consultation, your nominees should be subject to parliamentary approval.
Right.
So I think it is a very comprehensive process. And when it comes to the other justices of the Supreme Court, the President does so on the advice of the Judicial Council and in consultation with the Council of State, also subject to parliamentary approval. And if you look at the composition of the Judicial Council, you can find that in Article 153. We have the Chief Justice, who is a member of the Supreme Court, the Attorney General, another judge from the Court of Appeal, another judge from the High Court, and a judge from the lower courts, both circuit and then district. And then we have a representation from the Ghana Bar Association.
Right.
The Advocate General of the Ghana Armed Forces, like Director of Legal Affairs, Ghana Police Service, a representation from the Traditional Council, National House of Chiefs. And the President will also appoint 4 people. Apart from that, JUSAC also has a representation. So institutionally, you see that all the major relevant institutions are represented on the Judicial Council. And this is not a body that we can just think, we can just say...
Dr. Jinde, you were not against calls for the changes in the composition of the Judicial Council. You think the composition is okay?
Well, to me, so far, it's the best that we have at the moment. So if Justice Atuga thinks otherwise, then he should bring his proposal so that we can interrogate and then look at it.
Okay. Briefly, Dr. Jinde, there's also some advocacy for a cap on the number of justices to be appointed to the Supreme Court. Will that be a call you will also support?
I think the Constitution only stipulates that we should have a minimum of 9, but there's no upper limit. That is where the danger is.
Okay.
Because there's no upper limit. If you have a president who wants to pass the Supreme Court with whatever he wants, because there's no upper limit, we can continue to increase the numbers to maybe 200 or 2,000.
So you also want an upper limit? So I'm asking if you also want an upper limit.
No, yes, I want an upper limit.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jinde, for speaking with us there. Let's bring you some more stories. Now, they've been grounded for years and they've been left to the weather. The lack of maintenance, cost of management, and no dedicated lanes on some roads, many Ayalolo buses, they are rotting away. Christian Galley visited the Achimota News Station where the buses are parked and has more in this report.
During a visit to the Achimota bus terminal, the news team observed that weeds have started growing on portions of the concrete tiles where the buses are parked. A wire mesh erected as a fence has also been turned into drying lines by some residents and traders nearby, with dust all over the parked buses. The Ayalolo buses, with the capacity of 80 passengers, are equipped with GPS, cameras, television monitors and mobile charging point. This bus system was introduced to help in reducing travel time along busy corridors, but lack of designated lanes on some roads has rendered their purpose unfruitful. In a rather worrying situation, some of the buses have the windscreens broken. I've been here twice, and on both occasions I have been denied access into the yard located at the Achimota News Station. Now, management of the buses has also refused to grant me any interview. But as you can see, it is a worrying development here. The buses A good number of them have been grounded for lack of servicing, cost of management, among other reasons. In March this year, the Minister of Transport, Kwaku Ofori-Asiamah, said the model of running the buses in the country is not working. He cited the high cost of operations, maintenance and traffic congestions as some of the setbacks militating against their efficient operations. The local government minister, Dan Botry, declined to grant us an interview, stating that interactions and negotiations with partners on the Ayalolo bus system are far advanced. As it stands, Ghana's bus rapid transit arrangement is not working as intended. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Achimota News Station.
Let's now bring you some business-related stories. Well, Juliana Menuafol is here to bring us the latest in business. What's in the package this afternoon? Well,
we have excerpts from the developments relating to the World Bank giving out some $40 million to farmers who actually lost their livelihoods as a result of the dam spillage. We have the details in our bulletin and more stories. Thank you so much. Welcome to the business segment. My name is Menuafol. In our first story, the World Bank Country Director for Ghana has expressed confidence the $40 million given to Ghana to support farmers hit by the Akosombo Dam spillage will reach the right people. This comes on the back of concerns raised by some members of the Peasant Farmers Association over transparency in the disbursement of the Bretton Woods institution's support. According to the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association, Dr. Charles Nyaba, the government has not mentioned how the fund will be allocated to the farmers who have lost their entire life investments and livelihoods to the floods caused by Akosombo Dam spillage.
I heard the Minister of Food and Agriculture announce that there's an allocation of $40 million to support the flood victims. As we speak, no communication has been made to the victims. It is only in the media that we are hearing this. We want to understand how a farmer or a victim can benefit from that facility. And we are hoping that this facility will actually reach out to real farmers, not social media farmers and people who always hang around the ministry to take some of this support, leaving the farmers.
However, the country director of the World Bank, Pierre Laporte, says the bank has mechanisms to ensure that their resources are put to the right use to obtain the expected outcome. He responded to a question asked during his tour of the Ashaiman sewage treatment plant, which was funded by the bank at a cost of $10.5 million.
We have mechanisms from the moment we make funds available. We have procurement mechanism, we have checks, we have interim reports that our teams come on the field either quarterly or half-yearly, depending on the problematics on the ground. We have completion reports on each project that is public, and the people can see not just if the money was well spent in terms of procurement rules, etc., but also the impact. You know, did the project, if it said it will benefit 2,000 households, did it? Or it only benefited 150? Why? So people just have to go and go on our website or talk to us. But we are very comfortable that whatever we do, we have the mechanisms to ensure that our resources are well spent.
Well, away from that, the customs monitoring team at the Eastern Corridor has seized over 11,200 wax prints and 6,000 mobile gadgets that were being smuggled into the country by traders attempting to evade taxes. Officials estimate that the duties and taxes on the fabrics alone would have exceeded 1.3 million cedis.
According to the team, the trader responsible for the wax print had declared only 98 pieces in an attempt to evade paying duties and taxes on the goods, which is suspected to be imitation wax. The wax prints were intercepted at the Dabala border post in the Volta region during routine spot checks by officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. In a separate operation, officers at the Drapon post also intercepted the 6,000 mobile phones and tablets, which are yet to be evaluated.
We will slash it to 11,000 exactly. 11,000 full pieces imitation wax. We'll be talking around 1.3 million Ghana cedi without penalty. So if they are imposing 100%, that will be times 2. Normal taxes to 1.3 million Ghana cedis on this. The mobile phones, we are yet to get a value because we wanted them to pick a sample so that we'll get the value. We don't have all the values unless we go to the sector.
The division further highlighted the challenges faced in effectively carrying out its mandate at the borders.
We need logistics. We need men to come back because the borders are vast and they are porous. And when we close one side, another portion is opened. And before we get to know it's open, there would have been a lot of, goods, coming through. We do arrest rice, oil, and the like. And we have a number of informations that are, Togo is now decongesting their port. So a lot of vehicles are likely to come in.
Michael Obodu, 3 Business, Aplau.
And now, ahead of the 2024 budget statement, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, has admonished the government to abolish some taxes which have contributed to the current harsh economic conditions. According to FABAG, consumers in Ghana pay more than 100% tax on food and beverages, which has significantly hampered the quality of life for the average Ghanaian.
Addressing the media at a press conference dubbed "Overtaxation is not the answer to our current economic conditions in Accra," the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, admonished the government to reduce taxes on food and beverages in the 2024 budget statement to alleviate the burden on consumers and businesses.
The Ghanaian consumer pays on the average about 100% taxes on the cost of the product. And this cannot really spare any level of development. When this thing happens, demand goes very, very, very low. And let us remember that most of the goods that are brought in the country are on suppliers' credit. Some of them that are also produced locally by our industrial players are on interest rates hovering between 30–40%.
FABAG also believes that the current tax regime has contributed to the high food inflation levels in the country.
Ghana is among the top countries with higher cost of living. Prices literally change by the day. It is in the light of this, the Food and Beverages Association is of the firm belief that the private sector, which is the engine of growth, can really sustainably perform well and spare the desired economic growth in the long run if the government of the day reduces the current level of high indirect taxes.
According to FABAG, importers have resorted to smuggling through unapproved neighboring borders to stay profitable.
We have French label goods all over the market, which goes against our labeling requirements. What it means is that these goods were meant for the French market and they have been brought into the English-speaking country. How did they come in?
And that's how we wrap up the business segment on Midday Live. My name is Minuafo. Stay with us. We have more news coming up shortly.
Well, a lot of activities happening in the sporting arena, but Oru Kwampafo has all the details. Let's join him for all the latest in the world of sport. Oru, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Crosby. We'll be starting off from the Black Queens camp, where head coach Nora Hapto supervised the first team training in Cotonou, Benin, on Tuesday evening as the team gears up for the second round of the Paris 2024 Olympic qualifier against Benin. The team arrived in Cotonou on Monday evening with 17 players, with 4 others joining them this morning. Nora Hapto's Chargers defeated Guinea 7-0 on aggregate in the first round and would be aiming to go past the upcoming opponents in the first leg on Friday. The winner in both legs will face Zambia, who went past Mali via a walkover. These are more stories where the leader of the All People's Congress Party, Hassan Ayariga, has pledged to ban sports betting when he becomes president of Ghana. According to the APC presidential candidate, and he has plans to completely abolish it in the country. He spoke to my colleague Giovanni on the PFM Drive.
Why? I will cancel betting because betting is an avenue for lazy people.
Really?
Of course, why do you bet?
There are a lot of young people.
Because they have no jobs, Dwani. They're looking for avenue.
So you would cancel betting?
I will cancel
you
betting.
Make it illegal.
Illegal in my country. Why do you bet? What do you mean by betting? When I need young people like them to sit on computers and design things and build a country where we have the highest technology in Ghana, in the world, you are sitting down doing betting.
A lot of them pay taxes. I mean, they also...
We don't need those taxes.
Some more stories where Ghanaian midfielder Thomas Partey missed Arsenal's UEFA Champions League match against Spanish training. The Gunners won the contest by 2-1 thanks from goals from Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli. The injury was officially reported by Arsenal in the lead-up to Matchday 3 contest, which kicked off at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium in Seville. Partey was in the mix to feature in the game after playing in Ghana's international friendly games against Mexico and the USA, but has been left out of the Arsenal matchday squad. We still stay with the Champions League, where Carlo Ancelotti confirmed that Jude Bellingham is not injured following Real Madrid's 2-1 win at Braga in the UEFA Champions League last night. The England midfielder now has 12 goals in 15 matches for club and country this season. Bellingham is okay. His adductors are a bit charged because the pitch was a bit soft, but nothing special. He will recover. He's good. Those were the words of Carlo Ancelotti. Now, Bellingham has 11 goals in 11 league matches this season for the England midfielder, who continues his excellent start to life in Madrid. Or if you're after some more sports stories, you can follow us on social media at 3SportsGH on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My name is Rico Ampofu, and up next on the bulletin is Entertainment with Noella.
Let's join Noella Donko for some entertainment news. Noella, what's in the package this afternoon?
Well, it's still the music elections. The elections have already taken place, and then yesterday there was an induction ceremony. So we caught up with some of the newly elected executives, and they had a lot to say, actually.
Over to you.
Let's get into the details of some entertainment here on Midday Live. My name is Noella Donko. Now, the newly elected president of Musica, Bessa Simon, says his administration will empower and enable members to thrive in a digital economy. Now, together with his new executives, they intend to work hard to promote the welfare of members and advocate for better working conditions for musicians. Now, Bessa Simons was speaking at a swearing-in ceremony held for the union's newly elected executives in Accra.
Preserve, protect.
The newly elected Musica executives were on Tuesday morning sworn in to steer the affairs of the union for the next 4 years. The new executives are Bessa Simons, President, Reverend Dr. Thomas Yorson, First Vice, Abena Ruthie, Second Vice, S.K. Ajiman, General Secretary, Reverend Eddie Aisen, National Treasurer, Cheesy Whaler, National Organizer, and Reverend Gifty Ganza, National Welfare Officer. Executives of the Greater Accra Regional Musica were also sworn in. The Deputy Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mark Okreku-Mante, charged the new executives to unite, be innovative, and work together to promote the interest of Ghanaian musicians.
Musica must unite. Musica must be innovative. Musica must work together. There are people who are united, but they don't work together. We should learn to work together. Musica must encourage people to acquire knowledge. We should learn to coexist. There are people who cannot take other people's pressure. But as leaders, you must be ready to coexist with others.
Other speakers urged them to work as a team to meet the expectations of the members.
Let us work together like a team.
Don't let us separate ourselves. You will get challenges in so many ways, but you also have to work on your constitution. You have to work on your constitution. It's not everything that happens, you take it to court. Everything that happens, you take it to court. You have to look into that side too.
Look for the weaknesses of your president and stand in. Look for the weaknesses of your vice and stand in. Where they are strong, you push them to go forward. And that is how we can build a union. And if we all play our roles well, I believe in the next few years to come, we will see a Musiga working for musicians who will be proud of their union.
President-elect Bessa Simons said his administration will empower members to be able to thrive in the digital economy.
Over the next 4 years, our key focus will be to empower our members and musicians to be able to thrive in the digital economy. We will do this through collaborations with key partners to achieve various objectives. Among these will be building the capacity of our members to enable them to achieve financial solvency.
Among other things, the new executives hope to work hard to promote welfare of members and advocate for better working conditions for musicians.
The welfare of our members is also dear to us. And for that reason, we will intensify the drive for the Musiga SIC Life Insurance and work with all the partners, including UNIWA, to get our members on SNIT and other pension schemes. We will also continue to advocate for better working conditions for musicians.
Now to some more stories. The Deputy Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mark Okwekumante, has cited poor governance and lack of transparency as the root cause of constant agitations in Musiga, the Audio Visual Rights Society of Ghana, ASOG and GAMRO. The astute music executive is convinced that practicing good governance will help the party deal with the litany of grievances and allegations that often comes up against the leadership of these bodies.
When I went for my vetting about 2 years ago, I remember one parliamentarian asked, "What do you think the problem is with Musiga?" It came up, it was part of my vetting questions. And I mentioned good governance. Because if you do not practice good governance, which is a challenge amongst all the groupings, GAMRO, ASOG, Musiga, and that is why you always find people wanting to fight the leadership of the various groups. So I'll speak of rule of law, which Musiga has done well with the rule of law. But when the issues came up, you went to the law, and that's why we're here today. Efficiency, effectiveness, using little to achieve more. Participatory, let's get everybody involved in the things we do. Decision making, the right people. Equity, the knife should cut left and should cut right.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segments. For more stories, do follow us on all our social media platforms at 3 Entertainment GH. My name is Noella Donko. I'll be handing over to Crosby now.
Noella, thank you so much for bringing us entertainment news. Let's bring you some international news now.
A runoff election will be held next month in Liberia following a photo finish between President George Weah and his main rival Joseph Boakai. Weah got 43.83% of the vote and Boakai, a former vice president, received 43.44%. The October poll was the tightest presidential contest in Liberia since the civil war ended about 2 decades ago. A runoff was predicted, but Boakai, 78, has done better than expected by coming close to Weah's tally. The runoff is due to take place on November 14, the head of Electoral Commission, Davideti Brown, said after announcing the final results. Neza Hospital in Khan Younis, in the main medical center of Gazans in the south, the hospital says life-saving operations will be stopped very soon as they struggle to find a source of fuel. Blood and life-saving equipment is also running out. We are on the edge of a catastrophic situation. People are not suffering from only death and airstrikes. The UN says about 1 million people have been displaced, around half the population.
Well, that's our package for you this afternoon, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. Please log on for more. My name is Noble Crosby Allen, and on behalf of the entire production team, thank you so much for watching the bulletin. See you again some other time. Good afternoon to you.